Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
And a hearty good morning to you on this hump day. It is a Wednesday here in beautiful Tampa Bay. Hope you guys are having a great day already. A little bit of an off season, a little bit of a lull, right? But that's okay. We got plenty of great topics to hit today. We're going to be talking Rays. We'll be talking Bucks. We'll be talking 12-team playoff in college football. Some things I like, some things I don't. And we'll be getting into the Rays a lot here. And Lightning have another game coming up tomorrow night. They're in a bit of a lull. So we'll hit it all for you here today. We hope you guys jump aboard in the comment section as well. You can do that on our YouTube page, on our Facebook page, at Twitter at FanStreamJP, and be a part of the show. And I'll say good morning to you, Peter Blake from the Sports Web. How are you, my friend?
Good morning, buddy. Happy Wednesday. It's good to be with you again. I missed you. I missed all the fans out there, and we should have some uncomfortable conversations to start the show.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Right?
I see what you did there. Yeah, I don't know if you saw the show yesterday, but
great show
into Mr. Billionaire,
yes.
Stu Sternberg, and I thought we should start a GoFundMe for him. He's very uncomfortable making $1.5 billion on his investment, swimming in cash, getting another $1 billion too. I'd be uncomfortable too if I was about to boondoggle the city of St. Petersburg out of $1.2 billion. Yeah, I might be a little bit uncomfortable in that situation because, yeah, that's not right. But I don't think that's the uncomfortable. It's because they're going to be well below in the profit loss. You know, every time an owner says that, they should have to produce their books. Okay. Oh, yeah, really? Okay. You know what? Let's see the books. If you're going to tell me you're going to lose money this year, let's see the books because I don't believe you. I don't believe you one bit because I know what you're making and I know how much revenue around. I know what your baseline is. And with a $90 million payroll, you ain't losing money. The light bill ain't that much at Tropicana Field. With over $300 million in revenues, you ain't losing money on a $90 million payroll unless you're – but of course, it costs a lot to run that. No, you pay nothing for your stadium. You pay nothing for – but what about all the marketing they do? Seriously?
Right. The great marketing that the Rays do because there's so many fans out there jumping up and down to pay what? $500 million $500 million for a new stadium. He's comfortable.
$500 million. Are you kidding me? It's $1.2 billion at least. In public money. That's public money alone.
So he's comfortable in asking a public, which by the way, you know, the Tampa Bay community, not just St. Pete, not just Pinellas County, for that $1 billion, for his new stadium, because people are not struggling right now to pay their rent, to keep their lights on,
right?
Put gas in their car.
He's uncomfortable, Peter.
He's uncomfortable with $90 million. So let me get this straight because the Rays have been very consistent about this. And again, let me preface this by saying I'm a Rays fan, but they want you to invest all their time, all your money into what they're doing, but they never want to give anything back. That's what you're telling me.
No, they're giving a lot back, man. They're
what
putting
back? Banners, AL East titles. I mean, how many years has this team won an AL East title and had the opportunity to possibly go to the World Series or win a World Series, but because the ownership is uncomfortable with making those big moves, which, by the way, the blueprint is out. The Lightning have shown you that it can be done. That's why people embrace the Tampa Bay Lightning and Jeff Finnick. The Bucks, it's out there. When Tom Brady came to town, even before Tom Brady came to town, they won a Super Bowl. Yeah. They're comfortable in investing in the fan base. They're comfortable in endearing themselves to the fans of the Tampa Bay area. That's the reason why so many people are uncomfortable with supporting this ownership with a guy like this.
It's really unimaginable that you could use that word in the financial position that you're in for Stu Sternberg. I mean, again, let's count the dollars. He's uncomfortable because what? He just his fingers are raw from counting all his cash. He's doing a deal with St. Petersburg where they're going to get over $1.2 billion in public money to help build a stadium that's going to make him money. Now, I think he's going to cash out after he gets the deal done because he'll take the money and run. But he's uncomfortable with a $90 million. And to say that he's going to lose money, produce the books, bro. If that's what your contention. And why are you even saying that? Like, what are you even saying that for?
Like, read the room.
Gain from that some sympathy from Stu, you're so awesome that you're going to spend that extra money just to help us win. Oh, you're such an awesome owner. Look at you. You're willing to take a loss. What idiot on this planet would believe that? What idiot? But I guess, when you have a section of the media in your pocket, you feel like you can say anything and people are just going to believe it. There's a lot of that going around, right? And I'll just say it. And, the media is not going to challenge me, so I might as well just say it. Oh, we're going to challenge you. It's a joke. You're a joke. Uncomfortable. You got to be freaking kidding me.
Yeah.
You make $85 million a year. A lot of that money you took up front from your regional television deal. You get another at least $50-60 million in central fund money. It's probably well north of that. The last time that money was reported was 5 or 6 years ago. You get revenue sharing money as being one of the low revenue teams in the league. This is all before you sell a single ticket. You put $1 million, $5 million, $6 in there last year at an average of $50-60 a head. That's probably on the low end. Look, your revenues are well into the high 200s, probably mid $300 million, and with a $90 million payroll. Even my stupid idiot FSU math can do the math there. And I know there's other player costs, there's insurance costs, there's all these other things. Okay, what does that get you to? 130, 150? Okay, right. You still got 150 million but there's cost of running the team. Yeah, I'm sure there are. Not $150 million. Who are you free? I'm going to lose money.
Right. I'm going to lose.
Your partners asked you how much money you take in management fees and you wouldn't tell them. I wonder why.
Right. Because
that's money in your pocket, right? That's money in your pocket. How about the value of the franchise that you put in $50 million of your own money when you bought it as a group for 200, then according to the lawsuit unscrupulously bought out all the other partners, coercing them for pennies on the dollar to take over 90% control of the team. So now you have 90% ownership of this team that's worth probably $1.8 billion. That's a pretty good return on your investment. And now you're going to get all this public money. You're getting the city of St. Pete to sell you the redevelopment acreage at a discount rate. You're uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable. How much more freaking money do you need, Stu Sternberg?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You're uncomfortable. What a joke. Can you imagine Jeffrey Vinnick saying, oh, I'm uncomfortable spending this extra $8.6 million that I have in cap money now from Sergachev. I'm very uncomfortable. You imagine? No, Jeff Vinnick's not going to. You imagine the Glazers saying, oh, well, Tom Brady's left now, so we're uncomfortable spending to the cap. It's right. Ridiculous. Right. It's so ridiculous.
Yes.
And like I wish to God he would say that on this show. I wish he would say that on this show. Say he's uncomfortable. And because I would look him right in the eye and go, what did you just say?
Right.
What did you seriously just try to tell us that you're going to lose money? Even if you did, even by the remote, and maybe if you spent $250 million on payroll this year, you might lose money. You might lose money on this year's profit and loss, but let's amortize that over the 15 years you've owned the team or whatever it is, close to that.
Yes.
And the money that you've made on the return on your investment, all the money you've taken out in management fees and profit over the last, are you freaking, let's look at that profit loss statement. Have you lost money on the investment? You're uncomfortable.
He's comfortable. Wait a minute.
Like what? Like who? Please, if there's somebody out there that feels sorry for Stu Sternberg because he's uncomfortable,
right?
And you really feel that he's drilling. I mean, what is like this in terms of getting a yes vote from the from maybe it's for the maybe he thinks the people that are voting on this deal in Pinellas in St. Petersburg are so stupid. Like they're so stupid. If he says that, they'll all go, oh, look at Stu. He's spending all this money just to try and win on players. Let's give him $1 billion too in public money because he's uncomfortable. Is that his goal? Does he think those people are that stupid? He thinks we're that stupid. Otherwise, he wouldn't say it. He thinks you're that stupid, Peter. He thinks all of you Rays fans are that stupid to feel sorry for him because he's uncomfortable with a $90 million payroll.
It's the media. It's the media narrative. It has been pushed and pushed, whether it's local, whether it's national. Oh, the fans don't support this team. I wouldn't support this team either. You should be lucky that you have TV ratings with the way that you badmouth the fan base in the Tampa Bay area. Year after year, we can't sustain. Read the room, boss. Look at the economic struggles of the people out there, the blue-collar people that are trying to make ends meet. And
He's
you're talking about a $1 billion stadium. What world are we living in here? I mean, this guy should be endearing himself. You have Brian Auld coming out. Well, people need to get behind this. How about you get behind bringing back fan favorites? How many fan favorites have walked out? Can you imagine if Jeff Vinik said, you know what, I'm not comfortable, JP, and bringing back Steven Stamkos. We're going to allow him to go to Toronto. I'm not comfortable with bringing back Nikita Kucherov. I'm not comfortable with bringing back Andre Vasilevsky. You know,
not comfortable bringing back Baker Mayfield or Mike Evans. Right.
I mean, this is not how it works. And for me, I think it goes to the fans. They should hold him accountable. And instead of the stupid council,
and the media should as well.
Yes. Instead of them worrying about changing the name to the St. Pete Rays because we're paying for the stadium, how about hold his feet to the fire? If you get your new stadium from the public funds, you have to spend this amount of money, 15 or more, because they are so eccentric about analytics.
You should be in an average payroll. The average payroll in Major League Baseball is about $143 million. If we give you this don't worry about changing the name, Mr. Councilman or Mrs. Councilman. How about you demand that he spend an average over a 3-year period? He has to meet the average on a rolling 3-year period. He has to meet the average payroll of Major League Baseball. If you're going to spend $1.2 billion, let him put his money where his mouth is. He has to spend money on players. Because guess what? He told us all the revenue is going to go up with his new stadium, right? He said, "Oh, we'll have more revenue." Well, let's hold his feet to the fire. If he wants this money, then he has to promise to pay that. He just said he was going to do it because he's going to put all these extra resources into the team. He just said he would. Well, let's put it in writing. Let's put it in writing. You people worried about a name change? Don't worry about a name change. You want to get something in writing. Say, okay, you got to spend to the average payroll if we're going to give you $1.2 billion in public money. Well, I just told you in the press that I was going to do that. Yeah, you've said that for a long time. You said that you were going to put every penny back into this team, and you moved $500 million to a separate company, allegedly, according to the lawsuit.
Yeah.
Lie.
Lies. Yeah. He's a snake oil salesman. He's been
so. I mean, look, and I have nothing personal against Stu. None of it. We're just talking about the things he says, what he does. He's a very nice man. I've had coffee with him in Havana with his lovely wife. Very nice man, great dude. For all accounts, the people that work with him, well, most of the people that work with him enjoy. Has he really endeared himself to this community? No. Of course not.
No,
because of the way he runs his business, and that's all we're talking about. That's all I care about.
Yep. And listen, if he's going to treat this as a business, then the fans need to treat it as a business. They need to show emotionally invest.
You don't get $1.2 billion in public money.
Right. Exactly. If you don't spend this amount of money, you're not competitive. You violate the terms of the agreement. Good luck with paying for the stadium.
Let's see if and this just as an exercise. I challenge one of the St. Pete Council or one of the Pinellas County Commission to bring this to a vote. Say, if we're going to give him this much money, he says he's going to reinvest in the team. Well, I want that on paper. It has to be an average payroll of Major League, not the top third, average payroll of Major League Baseball over a 3-year rotating period. He has to meet that threshold and spend on players. You said you were going to do it. Let's put it in paper, Mr. Sternberg.
That's it.
Why not? And let's see. You want to see a reaction from that dude? He will cry like a newborn baby that just got slapped on the ass.
Yeah.
I'm not. Why should I commit to that kind of spending? I'm uncomfortable at $90 million. You want me to spend 145?
Yes. I want you to win a World Series. I want you
Jeez.
to still align from professional wrestling. Finish the story. I'm tired of the same story over and over again. Oh, it's the little engine that could. When do the Rays become like the Yankees or the Red Sox?
We're a small market team.
Oh, BS.
Market 11. We're small market. So that's a San Diego.
BS. Anybody pitching that San Diego. San Diego spends. People go, well, they have a new stadium. Okay, they have a new stadium.
It's not a new stadium. That stadium has been there for 10, 15 years.
Right. But at the end
they have a stadium in the middle of the market, and it's a state-of-the-art stadium. That's what they have.
Right.
Maybe you should try that, Stu.
Maybe. Or you'd be like the Marlins, where even though you won 2 World Series championships and you got your new stadium, guess what they did? They didn't invest in their team. In fact, they tanked.
Well, they made the same mistake that the St. Pete is doing, and that they put it in a horrible location
because
you can't put a stadium on the edge of the market in a bad area.
Yep.
I don't care how big your market is, and that's what Miami did. It's a nice stadium. It's a beautiful stadium, but you put it in the wrong place. Duh.
Yeah. Duh.
Because why? And why did they do that? The same reason they're doing it in St. Pete. The city of Miami didn't want to lose the Marlins. Yeah. They didn't want to, quote, lose the Marlins. If they move to Fort Lauderdale or Broward County, you're not losing them. Your constituents can still drive to the baseball game. Okay? If St. Pete, same thing in Atlanta. The mayor of Atlanta said, no, listen, I don't have $400-500 million to invest in a new stadium in downtown Atlanta. If you want to go, Braves, go. That's fine, but you're going to Cobb County. You're not leaving Atlanta proper. Mm-hmm. You may be leaving the city limits, but you're not leaving it. Your constituents here in Atlanta can still go to the baseball games. You're not leaving the marketplace, and I don't have to pay for it. Oh, good for you. Yeah, go ahead. Go do the deal.
Right.
That's good business. That's smart business. That's what the mayor of St. Pete should be doing. But that's not what's going on.
It's being played by Major League Baseball right now. It's been played over and over again. You look at the 80s, it involves this area with the Chicago White Sox. Oh, we're going to lose the White Sox. Chicago, you got to build a new stadium. Guess what? At the 12th hour, they build a new stadium. The Seattle Mariners in the same situation. The Giants. It is Major League Baseball's fault also for playing this game, and they know how to play with people's emotions.
Oh, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
That's where fans should stand up and say, you know what? We're tired of being, having emotion about this and being emotionally invested. We are going to treat this like a business. If you want all this public money to build a new stadium, you are going to give us something in return. If not, kick rocks. If not, pound sand. There's plenty of sand at the beach that you want to build this stadium.
And how much is he paying to rent the stadium? Since it's half owned by the people, nothing. Cigar City Noel says this is the least interested I've ever been in the start of a new baseball season. Piss off, Stu. I think that's pretty wildly agreed upon.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Nathan Elliott. Good morning to you, my friend Nathan. Always saying good morning to all of us. We appreciate him so much.
Love that guy.
Said Brian Ford of the Tampa Bay Bucks gave me a 25-foot, 12-foot Buccaneer battle flag to hang on my building in South Carolina because of my ongoing support in, I believe that's South Carolina, right? That SC, right?
Yeah, SC, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, in South Carolina. About it, the Rays, no, I don't know. I don't know if they're giving up banners. Buccaneers show their love to the fans all the time. They really do. Brian Ford has done such a great job of putting the fans first, as the Lightning have.
We've had him on this show. He was out on the field. I mean, you weren't there.
Oh, my God, he's everywhere.
Paul Stewart was there. We're talking about the Bucks, and that guy gets it. He gets it. The Rays don't get it, and I don't understand. They just don't want to get it. They want to play the Little Sisters of the Poor act. Woe is me, like the owner said, I'm uncomfortable. I'm going to go to Major League Baseball and say, I'm not getting enough support, so I got to move out there, and they got to give me all this money. You're playing this little game, the victim. You're playing the victim all the time. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it's always the same person, like, complaining. Oh, I'm not doing this. I'm not. You haven't done anything different.
Yeah, like, do something different. Stop complaining and do something different.
And
I love what Rick said here. I'm uncomfortable buying tickets to a game. A lot of people are uncomfortable supporting him. Yeah.
Right.
Christopher Cole, Stu is a selfish little wiener. Is that wiener or whiner? I think both works.
Well, I think yeah, the other one, the
I
labor.
think worse. I think worse.
I'll
Thomas Casper says if St. Pete Council votes for this open-ended liability, they would be subject to malpractice. Absolutely. Well, just not even the open-ended liability, because I think the Rays have said that they're going to cover cost overruns. I mean, you better get that in writing too.
Yeah.
Nathan Elliott says if the politicians were to do that to hold Sternberg to the promise of raising the Rays payroll, then he would sell the team right after they inform him for a better best. Yeah, I agree.
Good.
And why shouldn't you? I mean, that's what I'm saying is there's this big to do about, changing the name of the team since St. Petersburg is going and Pinellas are going to be paying for the team, paying for the stadium. That's dumb. You don't want to further piss off the rest of the region and make it an even worse location, a more even failed location, so you can't get your money back. So that's not smart. That's not good business. What is good business is to hold his feet to the fire. Yeah. He said he was going to put the money back into the team. Then put it in writing, bro. Put it in writing. What's wrong? If you're a man of your word, why won't you sign the deal?
I mean, I don't understand why more media is not like you. And I'm not trying to kiss you know what here. I'm a co-host. I'm a producer. But you are right on about this. And I don't understand why more media in this town and more media nationally has not followed your lead. This is a scam. Fans, it's a scam. It's a scam every year, and it's all we talk about. It takes away from this Rays team, which, by the way, listen, they've made some moves this year. They haven't spent money, but I wish more people would follow your lead, follow my lead on this situation, because it has been ongoing every year, year after year, and people just wonder why. Well, they're not getting any fan support because the owner is basically always talked down and browbeat this fan base. And it continues to go on, and they continue to do the same thing, get to a point where we're not comfortable in spending $90 million. Remember when he goes, oh, I'll give the naming rights. Oh, I'll go half-seas on $250. I'm like, half-seas? What are you, man? Are you like
naming rights over a 30-year life of a stadium could be upwards of $350 million, which is almost all of their money they're going to put in. And why in the world would St. Petersburg give them all this money and give him the naming rights? You're giving up. It means he's paying basically nothing for the stadium. If you're going to pay for half the stadium, you should get half the money from the naming rights. Should you not?
Right.
And also he should be paying some type of rent. But what is it? It's a complete boondoggle and giveaway. Yep. And anything Stu asks for, he gets, because this mayor does not want to be, quote, the mayor that lost the Rays. It doesn't make any financial sense whatsoever. All right, so let's move on to the on the field stuff. All right. Mm-hmm. The Rays have signed Ahmed Rosario. Interesting signing. 27-year-old utility infielders, played with 7 different teams in the bigs. Has an interesting against lefties. He hits 298 and an 806 OPS. That's good. That's really good, especially for a shortstop.
Sure.
And maybe not a plus defender, but in a kind of platoon scenario before Taylor Walls gets back and whatever the hell's going to happen with Wander Franco, you can combine him with Jose Caballeros, so they got for Luke Raley, mm-hmm. who's more of a plus defender. And, maybe you got a little something at shortstop there. You get a little pop against lefties, which you need. And then maybe, defensively, you've got and this is all, waiting for Junior Caminero to become a major league player, which may not take very long. If you listen to Junior, he's like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Ready to go. Right. So, and let's hope he is. Again, we don't know what's going to happen to Wander. And I'm sure the Rays are going to do everything they can to get out of that contract, which really doesn't hit them big anyway. It's only $2 million this year. I'm sure he's very uncomfortable about that. Yeah. So, but they'll find a way to get out of the bigger number of that contract. And maybe that's what this is all about in the end. Cause it's, I've said this for a while. This is bizarre. When you talk to the people in Dominican Republic, and I hate to say this, but this stuff has been going on down there for a long, long time. It's part of the culture, and I'm not excusing it in any way. It's ridiculous. It's awful, but that's just the way it's kind of been down there. And very rarely are there issues with this, because especially baseball players with a lot of money buy their way out of it.
Sure.
And why this one has come to, to court and someone getting arrested, a baseball player getting arrested, it's rare. So I whatever's going on down there, nobody really knows. Nobody's counting on Wander Franco playing for the Rays ever again. If by some miracle he got reinstated and they figure, because none of us know what happened, none of us really know what happened. There was an extortion attempt that was admitted to. So once that becomes part of the play, who the hell knows what happened, and I'm not excusing his behavior in any way. I'm just saying, I'm not going to sit here and pass judgment because, all we know is what we've read, and the reporting has been, very incomplete and very sketchy. So, and that's not on the reporters. It's just, it is what it is. It's not like it's we can go down to the court out here and see all the filings and interview people and talk to people and see things that we would normally see in these investigations. So we don't know. And bottom line is they got to move on at shortstop, and it looks like they have somewhat of an answer. I'm interested to see how it plays out. I'm interested to see how long it takes Junior Caminero to get up here and become, maybe he's the next Tatis. Who knows?
Yeah, that's what you bank on, because again, you don't go out there and spend the money. This is what we're talking about. Get yourself a veteran. You get a cheap option here, which is fine. That's what you're banking on with these young kids in the infield, especially Caminero. But going back to Franco and the allegations, that's uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
That's the word you should use. That's
uncomfortable.
That is uncomfortable, and I don't think you'll see him in a Rays uniform. Getting they got text messages of him actually admitting that she is a minor. I'm not going to go down that road because we already went down that road before. So I think the Rays are banking on the fact he's not going to be a part of this team. You go with these players. You hope that they can give you not only defensive, prowess, if you will, but also, a guy that can hit from the other side of the plate, hit for power, because that's what this team needs. And let's face it, again, it's going to go back to not only defensively, but can this team score runs, not only in the regular season, but if they can make it, if they're comfortable enough in making it to the postseason, can they score some runs? And it's going to come down to that position, especially. So, but
that's part of the, the problem with the season. It's kind of like, the year the Lightning won the President's Trophy and got swept out of the playoffs by Columbus. The next season, it's like, I really don't care what you do in the regular season except get to the playoffs. And then when you get to the playoffs, let's see what you do.
Right.
All they did was go on to win a couple cups. So that's what you want to see. What is the, once the Rays have proven they can get to the playoffs especially with the new expanded format. They know how to win regular season games. Their problem has been in the postseason, and they haven't been competitive in the postseason, like not even competitive. You can't score any runs. It's just not going to play.
Right.
So, obviously they've been to 2 World Series. That's been the anomaly. The one in the COVID year and then the one in 2008. But the other playoff, what are we, 3-14 in our last 17 playoff games with scoring about 0.3 runs per game.
Yeah.
It's got to be better to do something in the playoffs. And you're not going to do that. And I don't know if you heard me yesterday, Peter, but I talked about this. I was listening to, this was very interesting, I thought. Eric Neander was on Sirius XM radio with the MLB guys.
Yep. And
they asked him, one of the guys went on this tirade, kind tirade of like, you got to sign JD Martinez. He's a perfect player for your team. He would fit perfectly in your lineup, a slugger. You never had that bona fide big bopper, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, come on, please, dude, this would be a great, great signing for you and the Rays. I mean, this is exactly what you guys need, please. And Aaron goes, yeah, you're talking to the wrong guy. You're talking to the wrong guy. Talking to the wrong guy. Like, in other words, I'd love to sign JD Martinez, but my boss, the owner, would never sign off on that kind of money. Never.
Right.
Sign off on. And that tells you all you need to know.
Yes.
That tells you when Eric Neander comes to the podium and says, we can spend his money, we have no salary constraints. With all due respect, because I love Eric. I think Eric is great. And I think that little piece of honesty right there was about the best that he can do. And they recently signed him to a lot of money. The host asked him what the contract was, and he wasn't telling anybody. And why is that's such a secret, by the way? What they paid Neander and Kevin Cash is like these nuclear secrets. I wonder why. It's very interesting. We'll find out eventually.
Right, the codes. Look, ask Andrew Freeman how excited. Can you imagine you're Andrew Freeman and you were saying it yesterday, you got to shop at Walmart or in this case, the Salvation Army, which is nothing wrong with that because I shop sometimes at both of those places.
Absolutely. I love it. Yes.
But then you go to the Dodgers.
Great bargains.
Right. Great bargains, right? But then you go to the Dodgers and you're like, hey, you can spend this, you can spend that. And look at what Andrew Freeman has been able to do with the Dodgers, how much he spent. I mean, that guy must be a kid in a candy store with all the money that he spent.
They may win 130 games this year with that team. I mean
it's possible, right?
How uncomfortable is he?
Oh, he's
spending that money. Yeah.
I think he's comfortable, but definitely comfortable. He's not uncomfortable.
So they've added a couple pieces here, and I'll be interested to see. They also brought back Yu Chang, who we know and love here. He's been with the Rays before, so they've got some utility infielders that they've added. Nothing exciting. No JD Martinez. No big boppers, but they'll win. I think they'll figure out the pitching. Now there's a scenario here that without McClanahan, without Rasmussen, without Springs, and with going with Zach Littell and those guys, Aaron Savale, and Eflin, that's not a formidable rotation, especially against these teams in the AL East. I mean, you could make the case that this team takes a dip this year, no question about it, especially in this division. But they always seem to figure it out from a pitching standpoint. And they cobble together enough. So I have all the faith in the world in Kevin Cash getting this team to the playoffs. But what will they do in the postseason? That's the question mark. And if you're Kevin Cash and Eric Neander, I bet they both would just like, Stu, stop talking about it. Just stop talking. You just make our job so much harder. Yeah. And the fact that Neander said that, and he really literally said it, the hosts were like, whoa. He's like, I'm not the guy that can sign off on that. He didn't say that specifically, but that was the gist of it. It's like, you're talking to the wrong guy. Of course he would love to sign those guys. Sure. Of course he would love to get Blake Snell back. Who wouldn't? As a general manager, you put that guy in your rotation, your team is instantly better. I don't care what you say. And all Rays fans want to do is say,
it's comfortable letting him go for prospects because he's seen his best days. Remember, they were comfortable with taking him out in the sixth inning when he was dealing with in game 6 there. They were comfortable with doing that. Who made that decision? Who do you think made that decision? Who makes all the decisions for the Tampa Bay Rays as an organization? Stu Sternberg.
All right, we got to take a break. We're going to talk some basketball with my good friend David Zimroth, Coach Z. We're going to tack it up about that USF basketball game that was so incredible on Sunday. They got another one coming up this Sunday. They got one coming up tonight on the road that they got to win. So we'll talk some hoops when we come back. This is the JP Peterson Show brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com on the Strike 102.5 HD2. Back in 3. JP here for my friends at your local Synovus Bank, and I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta, big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation, and that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a get-acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just
Get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on TrueBody and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Wednesday. We finally have some good basketball to talk about in the Tampa Bay area, as USF is still unranked, still waiting to get into that top 25 after a huge win over FAU. Our man, Coach David Simroth, former USF, FSU, and Georgia assistant coach, joining us now. What's up, Z? How are you?
Man, I've been waiting for this show all morning.
I bet you will since Sunday, right? Yeah.
I work on Sunday, but kept abreast of that game.
Man, what a scene, bro, in the Yuengling Center. It was back in the day when you were there, you guys were winning 20 games. You had some big crowds, maybe not as big as this one, but that place is, the Yuengling Center is an intimate venue. And when it gets packed like that, it is freaking loud. And I'm telling you what, they really enjoyed a home court advantage in this one. And I thought the boys played tremendously well. A little lull at the end, but they got the job done. Great composure in the end. And we'll talk about those final sets that they made. But overall, your thought on that win?
Well, I've been talking about. I'm sorry if we're echoing. Are we echoing, Coach?
I'm not hearing an echo. You sound good.
You sound great.
Great. I've been talking about that game since basically February 7th.
Yeah, you have.
Back February 7th, I said they have a chance to set the table and make that FAU game on the 18th the biggest game, the biggest sporting event in the history of the athletic department.
Yeah.
And they capitalized on a great crowd, a national ESPN audience. And again, they played that game like they've played a lot of games. They've won in every different conceivable fashion. So I give them credit. Also, FAU made a valiant, comeback, but at the end of the day, they got the win. It's like Pat Kennedy used to say, just got to win by one.
Yeah. And that's about all they did. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, I want to ask you, Coach, do you feel like Coach Raheem deserves some coach recognition for Coach of the Year? Because you only return 3 players to this USF Bulls team. You don't know what to expect. In fact, you don't expect much and what he's done. Does he deserve more recognition for Coach of the Year, in your opinion?
He's going to get all the recognition he needs and deserves. I think what the best thing for them is to continue doing just what they're doing. They're in the limelight, but they're not being discussed every minute of the day. And it's keeping them grounded. It's keeping him grounded. And at the end of the day, those things will take care of themselves. Look, I've been going over this formula for 3 weeks now. I've been on the Amir Abdur-Rahim bandwagon since they beat Florida State.
Yep.
They've got 5 games remaining. They're going to beat San Antonio. All right? They come home, play SMU. They can afford to lose the game as long as they beat Charlotte on the road. They beat Charlotte on the road. They got a chance to finish 23-6, 16-2, and win the regular season outright.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is they can lose to SMU, still win the regular season championship as long as they beat Charlotte. That'll give Charlotte, FAU, SMU, and UAB all 3 losses. USF is 16-2. They win the regular season. Amir Abdur-Rahim's coach of the year in the AAC, probably one of the top 2 or 3 finalists for national coach of the year. There you go.
No question about it. And winning. Here's the question, though. This is the big question. And Dusty May talked about this in the post game. The winner of this regular season is not going to get an automatic bid. We know that. That goes to the tournament winner. And if USF were to win the regular season at 17-1 or 16-2, whatever it is, and not win the tournament, given the metrics of where we're at now with some of the early season losses to Maine and UMass, that all factors in. Unfortunately, that's not who they are now, but that's what your resume says you are. Your RPI and those things, you're up in the high 100 or high 90s, in that area. So those numbers aren't necessarily good enough to get you an at-large bid, when I think everybody, if you watch this team play, would say, is that one of the best 64 teams in the league, 68 teams? Yes, there's no question about it. So they're in a bit of a conundrum. They may have to win the tournament to get in.
Well, they need to change their metrics, because
I agree.
If they go 5-0 or 4-1, you're talking about a team that's won 21 or 22 games, out of the last 21 or 22 games. Right. I mean, you got to base some of this stuff on how a team finishes the season or how they play the last 2/3 of the season. The league is not looked upon as one of the best leagues in the country.
Right.
Anytime you can have a run like this in any league that you're in, it's something to be reckoned with. Last year, FAU was in a league that basically nobody thought was very good. They were 21-1 or 22-1, whatever they were.
Mm-hmm.
Same run, same situation. And people were saying if they didn't win the conference championship in the tournament, they weren't going to get a bid. I don't agree with that stuff. I don't think you can leave USF out of the tournament if they go 23-6, 16-2, regular season champions. I just don't think you can leave them out.
Talk about Selton Miguel, 25 career points, career high points against FAU. I mean, what do you see with this kid? Because he's a bench player, and then he steps up big time for this Bulls team last Sunday.
Look, that kid's a player. Pretty sure he played 2 years at Kansas State.
Yeah.
So he's been in a big time league. He's been in big time games. I love the way they use him. I love the way they isolate him and give him the ball, have all the confidence in the world for him to make a big play or a big shot. So when you have a guy that can come off the bench and do what he's done all year, it is invaluable to what the team's going to do.
And those final sets, as you know, in big games, it comes down to that last 2 minutes, and you got to hit your free throws, and you got to be smart with the basketball. And especially you're going up against two basically NBA guards in FAU, and they're pressing you, they're getting back in. They did a hell of a job cutting it from 25-1, but in the end, I'm talking about Reed, the little point guard, did a great job in that pressure situation. Did not turn the ball over. Then they get it to Miguel, who just goes one-on-one, is great driving to the hoop. He's like a freaking train. He can pull up mid-range. He can hit the three. They've got a lot of great ingredients to finish games, Coach.
When you have a great season, there's always people that emerge that most of the public or even the coaching staff didn't rely on.
Right.
So
weren't expecting.
You look at the kid Reed. I think most people didn't know who the kid was. You look at the year he's had.
Yeah.
The kid, the big kid, Pryor.
Yeah.
You look at what Miguel's doing. I think a lot of people knew about Youngblood because he had such a good year at Kennesaw State.
Yeah.
So, when you have a great year, these are the kinds of things that happen. Guys emerge that you didn't pencil in as having these kinds of seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And once they get on a roll, they're hard to beat. I remember when the Gators under Lon Kruger with Dan Cross and Dimitri Hill, we
Mike
know
Miller
that was going to be a great team.
Yeah.
They had an unbelievable year, got to the Final Four because guys emerged that nobody really counted on to emerge at that level.
Interesting. Just from a pure basketball team? I saw a lot of good things. This team has a great feel from the perimeter. They got guys that can knock down shots from three, including Youngblood and Selt Miguel, Reed, Kobe Knox hit a couple of big threes. They may be a little small inside, and I thought the big Russian center, his name escapes me now, for FAU, kind of had his way, and he's a good player, by the way, really good player. So where do you see the strengths and the weaknesses of this team?
Well, I think the strength of the team, without question, is how they've handled everything.
Yeah.
Like I said, they've won in every conceivable fashion you can win on this last 17, 18 games. They don't let adversity set in and succumb to it. They keep a level head. They're mature beyond their years. The coach's demeanor on the bench is just fantastic. So I think those are their strengths. Their weaknesses, I don't know what their weaknesses could be. They've won 17 of 18 games. They're on an 11-game winning streak. Maybe a little depth, in terms of, foul trouble up front, things of that nature. But, I think the best teams in the country are always, perimeter-oriented teams that have, a versatile inside player that can do some things and keep the court spaced and create matchup problems. So,
Coach, do you think the turning point for this team was the coach basically benching a kid like a Pryor because he had a bad attitude, and then after that, showing him some tough love, he's improved his game? Not only do you think that energized that player, but also the rest of the team? Because then the coach, put the line in the sand. Look, I'm not going to put up with, nonsense. I'm not going to put up with a bad attitude. Do you think that energized the team where the team never has looked back after that?
Well, I think anytime you can, discipline a player and it have a positive outcome, those things, galvanize the team. But the turning point of their season, without question, number one was basically really beating Florida State up. On a neutral court, they just beat them up and outplayed them, in every imaginable way. I think once that game was over, all those kids saw what they were basically capable of doing if they played the way they played in that game. And the rest is history. They haven't looked back since that win.
Coach David Zimrod joining us here, former Georgia, FSU, and USF college assistant. Been to the tournament with FSU. Coach, you look at the Noles, they get a win over Boston College. Had a chance to beat a Duke team at home this weekend. Couldn't get it done. Just really having problems scoring the basketball. I really don't see any way they're going to make it to the tournament. Do they have a shot? Can they make a run in the ACC tournament? I don't know if they have the horses.
Well, you look at the three games they lost to Virginia Tech, and Duke.
Yeah.
Those three teams hit 31 of 54 threes. They lost the game based on that statistic alone. They could not defend the three.
You can't win.
Last night they played a fair Boston College team, not a great team by any stretch of imagination. At home, they had injuries. They changed their lineup. I really liked the way they looked last night. I think the kid Watkins played probably his best game of the year. I like the fact they put the kid Jackson in the starting lineup for Darren Green, and they moved Corin back into the starting lineup. So they had 4 or 5 guys in double figures. They didn't really use the bench like they have in the past. And I think if that lineup can continue being consistent in terms of their minutes, I think they can do some things. Listen, the ACC is not a great league this year. All the tradition, all that stuff, I'm not taking any of that away. I coach in that league. But at the end of the day, the two best teams in that league Carolina and Duke, you can't compare those two teams to their tradition or their past. So I think in a tournament setting, a few different teams are capable of going in there and having a heck of a run. Don't discount Wake Forest. It had a little, a bit of a drop last night versus Wake. Pitt was on a nice run. Florida State can come out of this last 5 games, 4-2 or 4-1, 3-2. They could go into the tournament on a nice run. They don't have a very difficult schedule, in my opinion. And if they can make a run, listen, hopefully they'll make a run and at least get an NIT bid. But let's see what happens.
Florida's sitting at 18-7. Is that right?
Yeah.
And at ranked 24th now. What's their shot to get in the tournament?
Tell you what, they've got a huge game tonight at Bama. Bama's in first place. Florida they beat Kentucky on the road, so this game's not out of the question. But if they let this game get out of hand early, I really don't think they'll have the ability to get back in it. I think they've got to, be in a tight game the whole way and pull it out at the end. But Bama's capable of going crazy on their home floor. They shoot a ton of threes. Great players, great athletes. But Florida's playing really good. I'm looking at Florida right now as a lock for the NCAA tournament. There are 6 ranked teams in the SEC. They're one of them. They're playing for a seeding now. And they've got some tough games coming up at South Carolina. They played Bama twice. But 3 of those other games are Vandy twice and Missouri, the 2 bottom, 2 teams at the bottom of the league. So they can go 4-2 in these last 6 games. You're looking at a 5 or 6 or 7 seed. My opinion.
Missouri's 0-13 in the league, and Vandy's 2-10. So
right.
You better.
So
you
got to look at those 3 games as basically wins, and then if they can go 2-1 against Bama and South Carolina. That's their season. So that guy's found a way to do it. I don't know him. He obviously is a very good coach. I love the way they play, and I love that kid from Bartow, Walter Clayton.
Yeah, he can play. He's averaging 16 a game. Shooting 44% from the field. Not outstanding, but they're getting it done. And they'll probably, if USF doesn't make it at this point, it's just Florida and USF. I don't see Miami getting in. I really don't see FSU getting in the tournament unless they make a crazy run. Anybody else you see from the state of Florida making it? Is FAU? Obviously, if they win the tournament, they're in.
If you look at the history of this, FAU and Miami were in the Final Four. If FAU doesn't have a run here at the end of the year or win the conference championship, you're looking at 2 teams from the Final Four not going to the tournament, and that might be the first. And I would not like to see that happen. I think, FAU's not had a great season in terms of their consistency, but I'd like to see them back in the tournament. Look, I like to see USF and FAU in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
The more Florida teams that can get in, the happier I am. I'm a Florida guy.
Absolutely.
But some teams have to play well here down the stretch.
I got to ask you really quick. I go into the NBA. What is again the All-Star game, scoring 200 points? I mean, the commissioner comes out and says we need to take this seriously, and the players properly do what they always do, which is what they want to do.
Give the finger to everybody.
Right. I mean, is this a problem for you? Should they do away with I didn't even know the All-Star game Coach Z was playing this weekend. I didn't even know who was in the slam dunk contest. Is this a problem for you?
Well, I mean, look, the NBA All-Star Weekend is probably one of the biggest social events of the year in sports, and the amount of celebrities that go to it. There's a lot of things that go along with the All-Star Weekend. The game is turned into a farce. There's no question about it. It's due to the amount of money that all these guys make. And, in the old days when, JP and I were growing up, guys, if they were lucky, they'd make $100,000, and the winners got a certain, stipend for winning, and the losers, I mean, you play so you can make some extra money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
These guys don't need any extra money. No. They don't need anything anymore. The amount of money is so off the charts, that the lure of the game isn't what it used to be. You know, and they keep talking about all this. Well, when the best players in the world get together, when the best players in the world get together. When the best players in the world get together in the NBA, you know what they do? They socialize.
Yes.
Okay?
They say, watch this dunk.
No different than
a party.
With any other walk of life right now. It's
Yeah.
like everybody, let's get along. Everybody, let's get along. You know, there were rivalries in the NBA way back when those guys would play each other in the All-Star game, they'd want to kill each other.
Exactly.
They don't do that anymore.
I think it's an insult to the fans, Z. I mean, can you not seriously? Like, can you not? It's a couple hours of playing basketball. I've seen these guys in the offseason play way harder in a pickup game at the gym than they played in front of a global audience. You can't give me a little bit of effort? Isn't that totally disrespectful to the fans?
It's such a hard discussion because everybody looks forward to the game, and the same thing happens every year. But the game keeps selling out. The viewership. I'd love to know what the viewership was, the ratings on that game.
Not much.
To me, the most exciting part of the All-Star weekend is the three-point shooting contest.
Yep.
To me, that's. I mean, people are getting after it.
Yeah.
You know, the dunk contest is kind of wearing itself out a little bit.
Yeah.
But that three-point shooting contest is phenomenal. I love watching it. I didn't watch a second of the All-Star game.
I just saw the highlights.
I didn't watch a second of it.
Well, you would have loved Dame time. Lillard was taking half-court shots, like half-court jump shots, like you used to do in the noon league, bro. Like as soon as he crossed half-court, that ball was going up. So you would have loved that. And he switched them both. So that was.
Hey, before we get off, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a couple things real quick. The basketball world lost two really good people here. A month or so back, maybe a little bit more, but it's just come out. A mainstay, a legend in Sarasota basketball, Kerry Baker, passed away. Kerry was involved with basketball in this state for 40 years and coached AAU ball, coached a lot of great players. He was a go-to for any college coach that wanted to know about players in the Sarasota, Bradenton area. So rest in peace to Kerry Baker. And then yesterday came across the wires that Robert Reed, former Houston Rocket great, passed away from cancer.
Oh, wow.
An interesting side note, he spent the year out of the NBA to concentrate and focus on his Pentecostal religion back in 82, 83.
I remember that. Yeah.
Living literally down the street from my parents in North Miami. I would pick him up during the summer and take him to the Dade North Summer League so he can get a run in and stay in shape.
Wow.
And great guy, great player, passed away way too young at the age of 68.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks for mentioning both of those things, Z. Great stuff as always, my friend. We will we'll tell everybody how they can get in touch with you. They want to get some coaching for their kids.
D Zimroth at brighthouse.com.
Pretty easy. D Zimroth and at DZ_sports on Twitter. Great follow for all things local basketball for sure.
Got a bunch of local teams still alive for the Florida High School State Championship, so I wish them all the best. You got Berkeley Prep, you got Lato, Wiregrass, Lake, Plant City. I wish them all the best. And over in Pinellas County, you got Gibbs and Seminole. So sadly, TC and Jesuit lost, but we got a lot of people alive still.
All right, let's do an update on that next week. Is the tournament next week?
The regional championships are Friday. So, yeah, we'll know who's in the finals here Saturday morning.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, let's hit that next week. Thanks, Z. Appreciate it, buddy.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right, quick break. When we come back, Dan Lucas, News Channel 8, is going to join us. We're going to debate who is most important on the free agent list for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers to sign and what that offseason is going to look like. We'll talk some Rays as well with Dan Lucas, WFLA, when we come back. Stay with us. We're brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Get your nutrition right, get your testosterone right, get your immune system right with personalized medicine. Chris Lugo will go over all of your vitals and your blood work for probably an hour and a half like he spent with me. He does that with all his patients, especially on the first visit, to make sure that you get a personalized plan for your workouts, for your nutrition, to stay healthy. It's never been more important, folks. Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Back in 3.
here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Start the new year with a new diamond from the Gold and Diamond Source. It's still engagement season. Where better to get that special ring than the Gold and Diamond Source? Of course, I just got mine there. I'm engaged. You should do the same thing. Let's go. Gold and Diamond Source has the largest selection of engagement rings in the country. A literal jewelry superstore with 30 times the inventory of any normal jeweler. And if you have a loved one or a special person in your life who has a birthday this month, maybe you have an anniversary coming up, you can get 15% off the January birthstone, which is garnet, as in garnet and gold for all your Seminoles. Celebrate that mythical national championship. And it's the Gold and Diamond Source's 40th anniversary. For the past 40 years, they have taken pride in offering only natural diamonds formed over billions of years from the Earth's incredible forces. And gold prices are at an all-time high. Now's your chance to turn your jewelry box into a cash machine. It's the perfect time to trade in your broken or unworn pieces for something new and stunning. It's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Almerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Hump Day Wednesday. We'll bring in our good friend Dan Lucas from WFLA News Channel 8. What's up, Dano? How are you, my friend?
Boys, how are we today? Everybody good?
We're good.
Fired up.
It's a little bit
Dude,
of
I saw Peter's energy, man. I'm like, I'm ready. Get me in.
he was a little fired up about the as I was yesterday about the Stu Sternberg uncomfortable comment, because they might lose a little bit of money this year, which is like such a joke. Such a joke. I was
at the Fan Fest Saturday. I was there for about 3.5 hours and had a chance to chat with players, which was really cool.
Yeah.
We were doing a live stream, and I met a lot of the guys who are new to the club, who are curious about the Rayway, and like Johnny DeLuca and I were talking about the rings and the trop there, the catwalks, and having a good laugh. But every single fan that I spoke to, they are sick and tired of the drama. They're sick of it.
Yeah.
They're sick of it. They're excited for the team. They're loyal. They can't wait to see what the product looks like on the field when we get to opening day. But they are sick and tired of the ballpark issue. They're sick and tired of the excuses. They're just sick of it, and that's a consensus. And the only words I can come up with, they're washing their hands of it. I had a guy tell me Get the shovels in the ground. I don't really care where it is at this point. The thing is, apathy has set in. Everybody has their opinions. Oh, it should be here, it should be here. Now people just don't care. They just want shovels in the ground. Those are the comments I'm hearing, and that's going further and further towards people really not caring about your organization.
Yes, no, it's a great point. And because nothing changes with that location, right? Nothing. The new stadium stuff will wear off in a couple of years. You'll be right back to where you are, and it all the drama stems from one place, and that's the problem, and that's Stu Sternberg. He's the problem with these stupid comments. He's the problem. The stadium would have been look. The bottom line is, and everybody, we talked to Ken Hagan on Monday. We had him on the show, and he reiterated what we've known, and everybody in the Rays 100, what you know, Dan, is that this deal was done in 2018 in Ybor City, and if he would have paid half, which is less than he's paying for this one, by the way, $450 million, we would be moving into that stadium. May have been done last year, but certainly this year we'd be playing in a brand new stadium in Ybor City, state of the art, the whole nine, packed places, more revenue for a lot less money than what you're going to pay for this one in the right location. He effed it up because he didn't want to pay half. And it's just
uncomfortable.
He was uncomfortable. Yeah.
I
mean, I just hope there's new ownership. There's been a deal on the table for him to take. He won't take it because I think he wants this money grab in St. Pete. It's just none of it's good for. It's like you said, none of it's good for the fans. The fans are sick of it. I just want a local owner that cares and wants to do the right thing. And it's just, and evidently Major League Baseball doesn't care about that either.
Dan, can we wake up one of these days and say, man, the Rays are spending 15th or better and they're actually trying to win a World Series?
No.
I mean, do we ever get to it, even with the new stadium?
I don't know. That's the one thing that we're being held hostage for here is the requirement to have the revenue required to raise the game in that sense. But the entire organization is so ingrained all the way down into its minor league levels on this is how we're going to build a franchise and try to win a championship, that it's almost not even designed to take on big names in the off season free agency. It's just, you're constantly grabbing at youth and prospects to deal off later to get you to the finish line to each regular season at the major league level, and everything suffers from that. And if you go through the entire organization, this organization is stacked. Every year, Durham has a chance to win a championship. Montgomery's competing for championships. They just had a big run in low A, and so these clubs have so much talent in them. But are we grooming them to be in the major league level? No, we're grooming them to be part of a package.
He sold off, right?
Exactly.
It's all part of the deal. I said earlier, Stu comes out and says, "Oh, we're this new stadium is going to give us new revenue to compete and new increase salary and payroll." I'm like, okay, you want the money from Pinellas? Put it in the deal. If I wouldn't care about, let's not change the name. We don't need the St. Pete Rays, right? If the commission wants to hold his feet to the fire, say you need to spend to the average payroll on a 3-year rolling average payroll in Major League Baseball. If we're going to give you $1.2 billion in public money, you have to pledge to spend at least $143 million, which is the average every year in payroll. What's wrong with that? He says he's going to do it. Put it in writing.
Yeah. I would love to see something like that, but as you know, every league is different in its rules, and baseball has made its own bed regarding everything from salary cap to this luxury tax, which is even it kind of.
But this would have nothing to do with baseball rules. This would be having to do with getting the stadium deal done.
Yeah, getting the deal done, and then having guarantees on the backside.
Right.
I don't know how the commissioner can let it fester when his Las Vegas idea is
blowing up.
It's not as surefire as we all originally thought.
The mayor of Vegas is like, we're not interested in building a stadium here. We're really not. We'd rather put up another hotel.
Vegas, who said, they should really be trying to work something out in Oakland. What?
I know. I was like, when he said that, I was like, wait, what? Wait, I thought this deal was done. And, it was interesting because I was talking to a cabbie in Vegas when I was there, and talking. She lives there with her husband. They've been long time Vegas residents, and they're all gaga over the Golden Knights. That's their local team. They love their freaking hockey team. The Raiders are kind of like, oh, that's cool. We're part of the NFL. We'll go to the games, but that's mostly a corporate thing with the casinos. And I was like, what about baseball? And they're like, nah, not interested. Like, I was like, we could care less. Like, we don't even want to be. So we got a good AAA team that some people go to, and they do. They've always had a great AAA stadium, but it's not something they're interested in. And like summertime, they don't want to leave the freaking house. It's like either casino or the house. No, you don't even want to walk from a parking lot to inside of a dome stadium. Nobody's interested in that in Vegas. So I think that's a disaster. And now I'm here to tell you, I don't think this thing in St. Pete's ever going to happen either. So
I don't know. Well, I said from the beginning, even when it was first presented, that here's the layout, here it's happening, and the bells and whistles. I looked around, I thought, I don't see bulldozers. As soon as I see that, I'll believe it. And I'm kind of with you on that sense. And now, if I'm not mistaken, aren't the Nationals going to be put on the market too?
Yeah. A lot of people are selling because of the political situation that we have right now.
Maybe Montreal want to buy him back.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Half a season, like Stu was comfortable with. He wasn't uncomfortable doing that.
Cash out, Stu. If you're uncomfortable, cash out. Get the hell out of here.
Please.
Le baseball.
What about the on-field product, D? What do you think? Have you been to spring training yet? Have you seen the guys?
I have not been to Port Charlotte. We've been down there twice, though. There's a lot of excitement on this team, and I think that it for us on the outside, you spend the winter, you see a free agent goes here, a free agent goes there. This year's been different because everything's happened last second, and there's still guys out there. Blake Snell, he's still trying to find a home, and the Rays signed a guy for 1.5 yesterday, a Rosario.
Yeah, good deal.
That it will get into one of their question marks is the shortstop position. But I think overall, across the board, when you say, okay, what would the lineup look like? I don't see a problem with it. I didn't think they were going to make many changes. I was as disappointed as anyone in the offense in those 2 games in the wild card. But I still think this over the long haul to get to the postseason, you got to get through the marathon, and then I think this is the lineup that can still get over the hump. So I kind of like the way this club looks. I'm not so sold on Rene Pinto catching 120 games.
No.
They got to figure that out, and I think they will during the spring. But the shortstop position to me is the Achilles if they cannot get this situated right. And I know, and you have the names, Aslivas Basabe, who gave us a exciting couple of weeks, and then he started to tail off a little bit. Junior Caminero,
probably not ready.
Probably not. I just don't know. They're just not quite there at that position. And the problem is, shortstop for the Rays has been elite for years and years, and so all of a sudden this Wander Franco turd that everybody's been handed. It could be devastating if they don't get it right. So I think that's why they really made a push for Rosario, because he may wind up being the guy, even though he's kind of bounced around the infield.
Interesting numbers though. Hits 298. It was 806 OPS from the right against lefties. I'm like, wow, that's elite for a shortstop.
A left-handed threat for sure.
Yeah.
Now, he tailed off when he was with the Guardians. I just glancing at his numbers last night, if I recall, he started to really hit for the Mets.
Yeah.
And he went to Cleveland, kind of tailed off a bit, wound up in a trade to LA. So this is probably a show me for him as well. 1.5.
Right.
He was worth way more than that in his last contract. So I mean, he's got something to prove. That's the Rays magic.
Exactly.
Bring somebody in who has something to prove. So I'm paying attention to him. Paying attention to him. I'm Ed Rosario when he gets in and the games start to see what he does.
Dan, besides the shortstop position being one of the biggest question marks for this team, is it the pitching for you? Zach Eflin, Savali, of course, Littell, you lose McClanahan, Rasmussen, Springs, you have some major injuries there. So can this pitching staff, do the Rays have enough pitching, in your opinion, to survive this season and hopefully, knock on wood, no injuries this year?
Well, I think he hit the nail on the head. Can they get to the finish line? My question is, can they get to the start line? That's the That's the real thing. I mean, remember when they had this great start last year, but it's just an absolute fire around them as far as the pitching injuries going down. But
Yeah.
I think they've addressed it. I think the Glasnow trade addressed it. They're really hopeful on this Ryan Pepio. So someone to watch during the spring. The guy from Japan, the Uwasawa.
Uwasawa.
He's here to prove himself.
I think he's going to be good.
I think so too. I think he could be sneaky good. He's out here in here on a minor league deal.
Yeah.
So
I'm telling you, that guy's going to go like 13-5.
Yeah.
He's going to be the surprise cat. He's going to go 13-5, eat up about 160 innings, and he's going to be throwing about 18 different pitches. They're not going to have enough fingers to like put down to what he's throwing. And he's just, combine his control with Kyle Snyder's, game plans. I just have a feeling that guy's going to be good.
He's the kind of guy, like you're saying, that if you can tuck him away as your number 4,
yeah,
or if 5, if you're going to roll 5 out there, then he's going up against somebody else's 4 or 5.
They don't. Other teams don't want to see guys like that. They don't want to see guys like that. They coming from all different angles.
The guy was
different
something. Dude, I think one of the guys who's excited to have another go at this is Taj Bradley, who, in my own opinion, he was thrown into this before he was really ready to handle it last year. So much talent, tremendous attitude, and work ethic. He was out there through absolute necessity. They didn't want him at the major league level. Forget about rules and contracts and that. He was not ready to take that mound at this level consistently. I think he might be this year. I think he's much more mentally, his capacity coming into spring, his mindset's different. You remember you're telling a guy a year ago, we're grooming you. We're grooming you. All of a sudden, take the ball in Yankee Stadium, kid. And so I think he's ready to handle that workload in this short span of time. I'm excited for him. Todd Bradley, he could be your 3, I would say.
And there were moments. Remember last year, there were moments where he'd strike out like 7 of 8.
Yep.
I mean, it just was untouchable against the best lineups. And like, you couldn't even, and then he'd get to the 4th inning. He put 2 guys on to make a mistake and it's 3-0, but the first 4 innings, he was freaking unhittable. His stuff is electric. It's electric.
Something with these young pitchers that you see all the time. And this is one of the reasons that the Rays really implement this opener. If they get through the lineup 2 times, and then they have the 3rd go around, and it turns into a disaster. What are the opponents seeing?
Yeah,
like what has been Kyle Snyder? These guys are all smart; they know the answers. But why can a guy go through a lineup 2 times, or maybe 1.5, and now they start to string these little rinky-dink hits against them, and then they start scorching the ball against them. You got no choice. You got to get your bullpen scrambled. Why is that happening? That's the answer for a guy like Taj Bradley this season.
Peter, you got something else for Dano?
No, I mean, I just say Bradley. I feel like he's like David Price almost. Like he has 2 pitches, he needs that out pitch, and once he gets that, because you're right, he hits that 4th or 5th inning, and it seemed like the mental makeup kind of broke down, and I think he's going to be better off with all those innings that he pitched last year coming into this year.
That's just control at times, man. He would just lose a little bit, but that's youth. Right. That's youth. When you master that part of it, I just look at the stuff and I say, that kid's going to be really, really good. Let's talk a little Bucks here too, Dano. Obviously huge, the big 5 free agents that you want to bring back. Will they be able to bring them all back? I think they will. I think they've got enough cap space that they can create. I think I saw one place where they can create, with Shaq's numbers and some of the other guys, probably 70 to 75 million in total cap space. That should be enough to bring everybody back. I don't know if you can go out and get an edge rusher, but I think the Bucks are committed to do what they have to do. Like, they will push money down the road like they did with Brady, because they found a quarterback that they can build around. And I think that's a smart thing. I'm not saying Baker is Brady. I'm not saying. What I'm saying is, when you got a guy who's, I think, a top 12 quarterback in this league, okay, you keep him, you build around him, and you try to make it work, because you can maybe draft a kid that might be better than him, but that's far from an
Right.
exact science. You may go sign Kirk Cousins, but how long is he going to stay healthy and how much does he have left? The options out there are just not great. And so if you got something like this, you do what you got to do to build around it. I think you found an identity. You found somebody that loves it here. He fits well with the community. Mike likes to play with him, put them back together again. And I think you do whatever you got to do to keep all these guys with you. You franchise Winfield. I think this is the core you build around. Am I right or am I wrong?
I agree. I think that any move you make just from the quarterback position could signal that you're kind of scrapping things because you took a chance on a guy last year and you gambled and won. So let's ride this while you can.
Yeah.
I think that based on the core of all the youth that has performed better than a lot of people thought they would, the rookies, say the last 2 years, they're still in a position where you can go all in and give this a shot. Getting to the postseason last year and winning a game was a good sign for a team that was supposed to just flounder and feel the $35 million hit and try and scrap together a team this year. I just think they're still there. I don't want to see Shaquille Barrett dumped. That's the one thing I just don't want to see.
I think they'll rework.
I think you rework it. I'd see it. It's so when you talk about football moves and salary caps and that, people get their emotions in the middle of what makes sense money wise. So when it comes to Mike Evans and Shaquille Barrett, I always have to kind of try and push my emotions aside because they're just franchise dudes I want around. And Barrett's contract makes no sense whatsoever.
Not now.
Coming into this offseason. So that's the first thing I'm reworking. I mean, they ate 16 or 17 million this week when they, with the deadline for Evans, Mayfield. That's dead cap they carry. That's money that was already on the board.
Yeah.
We're going to carry this dead cap. And with that, they're going to keep moving forward. And I believe sometime during the scouting combine, the league comes out with its salary cap number.
Yeah.
And
it should go up significantly.
I think it's going up more this year than it has in recent
$8 million. It's going up $8 million. That's the first report there, and you're exactly right.
That's it? $8 million?
That's what's being reported, but you never know.
I thought it might be even more.
Right.
I think it's going to be a lot more. Because the revenue when they redid the TV deal, it doubled. And it's tiered, right? And it doesn't double like the next year, but the overall value of it doubled. So the players are entitled to 52%. So it's commensurate. So a salary cap that was at 220 2 years ago when the deal was made should eventually go to 400, over the next, I would say 10 years. So we got to start, ticking that up 20, 25 a year, I would think. So I don't know where you got 8 million, Peter, but that may be right. I don't know. But I was
somewhere. Yeah.
I expected a lot more.
I think the ownership take on that deal is 245 on the current revenue from the
per
TV.
team.
So owners bringing in 240
per team. They get
per team. Yeah,
that's more. That's more than the current cap, or that's about the cap, right? What is the cap right now? A little bit more than
I think it's more. I think the cap is. Peter might have the numbers in front of his. Right. I think it's right around 220.
Well, it's 242. Figure they.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're right about 50%. Yeah.
So Mike Real reports 250 million. It could go up. So it goes from 242 to 250 at the end of the day. And, you do take that cap hit this week, but you have to feel like Greenberg and of course, Jason Light here, Dan, have a plan. They've had a plan. Are you surprised that this report this week, because we heard previous ones saying that Baker, could be command, 40 to 45, and now you have 3 for 75, which is 25 million. Could we be looking at Baker? The reason why you're so excited about him re-signing is because he's going to take a lesser deal to get Mike Evans and all these players back in the fold.
I'd be curious to see if Baker would take the lesser deal. And it's not, to me, it's not a knock on Baker. It's a knock on the Players Association telling Baker to not take a lesser deal. I guarantee you that any player who's up for this, and I watched Carl Crawford go through this in baseball.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as the hometown discount or where you like to live the most. There is, you will take it, because if you don't, 2-3 generations from now, we'll pay the price.
I hate
decision.
I hate
drives
that.
me insane.
I don't want to hear it.
It drives me insane in the NFL that is so competitive, and there are so few teams that can go through a window like the Kansas City Chiefs are in right now. That if as a player, you're not dumb. If you really want to raise that trophy, you've got to have something that can get you through 3, 4, 5 years of a chance to raise it. And Baker knows it. Baker has been through hell.
Yeah.
So I think we're all happy for him for what he was able to come into last year. So he's looking around at what he has, and he's not stupid.
Yeah. I always like doing the relationship analogy, and this one works great. You get dumped by 3 chicks in 1 year, and then, the Bucks aren't a 10. All right. They're not the Cowboys, but they're a solid 8. The Bucks are a solid 8. Yeah. They won a Super Bowl. Nice place to live. We're pretty hot. We look good in a bikini, right? So you get dumped by some ugly girl like the Panthers and some hideous girl like the Browns. You get a solid 8 like the LA, she's a 10. The Rams are a 10. She dumped you. Okay, that's expected. But you get a solid 8 to like you like we do. Boy, you jump in bed with that. You put a ring on that right away, right? Don't be stupid.
I don't know. I'm going through PTSD, man. I had a pre-semester horrendous August breakup 1 year, and I said, "Oh, you'll be back. You'll be back." And
yep.
And she wasn't coming back.
Nope.
And then right around Thanksgiving, guess what? She's interested in coming back. By that time, I'm enjoying free agency. I'm like, why do I want to sign with you?
Wait a minute, you're a 6.5. I got some 7s and 8s looking at me now, honey.
Right, some 10s. I mean, why? Yeah, come on. Yeah.
So what you're saying is that the Falcons and the Steelers. Now the Steelers, she's a solid 9. She comes knocking on your door with a little bit. But you know what you do? If you got an 8 in the bag, don't go chasing a 9. Don't go chasing it. When you got an 8, if you got an 8 in the bag that you like and she treats you well, you put a ring on that thing. Don't worry about the 9. Don't worry about the 9.
It'll blow up in your face.
She'll dump you too. So
I gotta read this comment right here, guys. Right.
Go for it.
Nathan says she was shopping for Christmas. Exactly. That's
exactly she was.
She was trying to get gifts. That's why she wanted you back in the first place. And
exactly.
I gotta say this. Does Mike Evans do that? Because he's never really been able to be a free agent. And we're talking about being a free agent. Is that the reason why maybe the Bucks let him hit the market and talk to other teams? Is that a dangerous situation? Because I know there's a lot of Bucks fans that are concerned about him hitting the market. But does he hit the market because he's never been able to do that, in your opinion?
I think it's the responsible thing for him to do. I mean, he's getting on the backside of his career. I don't know if this is going to be his last contract in the NFL, but he's got to really, line up his life. And someone is going to throw stupid money his direction, and then he's going to have a decision to make at that point. Okay, I have this. What does this team look like? Is this a team that's ready to get over the hump? Am I going somewhere? Am I just the face? Am I going to sell jerseys, i.e. Houston Texans? Are the Texans ready to make a push and get over the hump? The Jets situation, which he's been linked to, is Aaron Rodgers here for a cup of coffee? He's got some choices to make. He knows exactly what he has here, and he knows damn well that this team is ready to get over the hump if everybody lines up properly and they insert what they need to do to improve in the postseason. That's going to play on him. He never really talks about it, but I think his legacy means a ton to him.
Yeah, I agree.
How he wants to leave this game. He's a Ring of Honor guy. He's a Hall of Famer. I understand that, but he has a chance to put franchise records that will be unattainable. He has a chance to chase NFL history as well. He understands that. He understands where he is in this game, and it's a credit to him. But when you're a professional, you must assess your own value. You have to. You'd be irresponsible if you did not.
To that end, the Texans are 5th in the league with available cap space at $62 million. Okay,
right.
The Bucks are at 12 with $41 million. And as I mentioned before, there's a number out there like that. There's a website that does it, like what they might be able to get in restructuring deals. And I've seen that number around 70 million for the Bucks, and it's higher for the Texans as well, but not much higher because they have a lot of flat available cap space. If he's looking to run up bigger numbers, you can make the case that you'd get bigger numbers with CJ Stroud than you would maybe win a Baker Mayfield, Todd Bowles, offense, right? Is that something he would be thinking about? I guess he would probably, if there's a lot more money to be made there, and you're probably going to get more bigger numbers. I don't know. How does that work? What do you think?
I would have to guess that he would look at that from that's part of his legacy as well.
Right.
Not only the income, but the numbers he can put up to establish himself as one of the greatest at his position. Mm-hmm. But the Bucks are letting him look around. That's pretty clear, or will let him look around when he's able to. But the Bucks have options as well out there to fill in a 1 or 2 spot, and they've been linked to other guys around the league, reports and trades. I know Ayuk has been mentioned and things that I'm not saying that Mike Evans, you can just slap somebody in there and replace Mike Evans. But from the Bucks' competitive standpoint, if Mike Evans is not here, it's going to hurt. But they're gonna find somebody and make this offense.
There's other guys.
Yeah, through the game. I just feel kind of backtracking to Baker. The fact that the Liam Cohen thing came in, and we know that the Baker was asked about him. And when Cohen first got here, there was a video of Baker already lifting weights in the facility. Yeah. He's not entitled to have to stay at the Bucs facility and lift.
No.
To me, it's just adding up to everybody. It's just thinking this is all a formality, and it's going to be fun with numbers. And I think Baker's first, and I think Mike is next. Maybe Antoine's next, but Mike is definitely.
I think Antoine gets franchised at 16 million.
I do too.
The timing tells me that.
Doesn't the franchise tag kind of feel like the NHL bridge?
A bridge contract, yeah, exactly.
Kind of.
Bridge contract.
Either way, Antoine's going to make. I think he's going to quadruple. Is that right? So
third round pick.
I don't think in this case. I don't think that the franchise tag is as offensive.
No,
as some players make it out to be when they get it, because he's going to have such a huge raise. I know his value when you look at the different sites, and his projected value is actually more than the franchise tag. Top 5 salary.
Well, the Bucs would love to sign him to a long-term deal. That'll bring his cap value down. Pay him more money.
Yeah, you can, and just because you franchise tag somebody doesn't mean everything's locked in. They can still negotiate with him up to a certain point, and make the deal, and everybody's happy. You're correct. So, hey, Antoine's he's one of the reasons the Bucs are in this window. Mm-hmm. He knows it. He's looking around him. I do think that the gaps that they need to fill are on the defensive side of the ball, and things that addressed in the draft and free agency as well, to try and make this defense even better. To get over the hump. I think they're right there. I think a lot of guys realize they're in this window. They have a chance to do it.
Yeah.
Speaking of numbers, guys, confirmation, $224.8 million for 2023. If Mike Florio's report is accurate, which he's pretty usually $250, that would be $26 million.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Going up. So again, that's why I talked to a lot of Bucs fans out there, and I would say, calm down, because that cap goes up every year. So, you're paying Baker, you're paying Mike, you're paying possibly Levante and Chase, and of course, you're redoing the contract of Tristan and Antoine. But they have the money. They have a plan here, and that cap goes up every year. $26 million. So there you go, gentlemen.
Yeah, and so the Bucs right now are at 205 for their top 51 cap. So at 205, so that would give them 40. Yeah, I think they can create a lot more too. So I just think, when if you decide that this is the group you want to be with, okay, which I think the Bucs have decided that if this is your, Tom Brady moment, but you don't mind pushing money down the road. And here's the other thing, you can push it because that cap's going up 25 every year. So I say they get them all done, and they may overpay for Mike. They might overpay for Baker, and people might go, "Oh, don't worry about it. Cap's going up."
Remember this, JP. Last year, we were right here a year ago discussing way they were going to exit Tom Brady's salary, and
Right.
there were two ways to do it. There was a
Right.
2-year plan or the rip off the Band-Aid plan, and they went with the full 35.
Yep.
And so they could get here to this moment with a clean slate from his salary,
Yeah.
and they did that.
And they did.
And I
they
think,
did.
and I
They're
think
sitting
that's
pretty.
one of the reasons why the national media just poo-pooed this team and said, "Well, they're back to the basement for the Bucks."
Yeah,
And
Cam
it
Jordan.
didn't-
Guess not.
And
By the way,
It
the Saints
happened.
have the least amount of cap space. They have $350 million on the books.
every year it's the same.
350. The
Every
cap's 250. They're at 350.
It's the national debt. The Saints with the national debt. Every year they're in cap hell, and
Joe
somehow
Biden's,
they're
Joe
able.
Biden's the new GM at New Orleans, evidently. Yeah. Your deficit's going up.
Ukraine.
All right, Luke, tell us where they can find your content. What's going on at News Channel 8?
Today we're lightning practice going on as we speak. The boys got to get a little cattle prod in the old keister after the last 2 games, but there's a lot of the young players coming in and having to perform. This Mitchell Chafee guy's really exciting, and we're hoping to catch up with him today at practice. And Karen Loftus on the beat as we speak, so hopefully he'll be our.
Oh, wait a minute.
feature
Speaking
tonight.
of Karen, I hear Karen's going off to greener pastures.
She is departing News Channel 8 in early March. So we are currently
Bring back JP. Bring back. Here we go. There was bring back JP. Movement is on.
You're an influencer. We should have you. That's all.
Just don't talk to HR. I think I'm still on the blacklisted.
Can I throw my hat into that too? I want to throw my hat in.
There you go, Peter. Never throw your hat in.
So we love Karen, and she's been with us since 2019. She got, or the spring of 2020. She got here, and about 3 weeks later, everything shut down.
Yeah,
poor kid. She like just started, and we were doing shows from our homes.
Yeah,
so
such a sweetheart.
She toughed
nice
it out.
Person.
And,
very rare for TV.
Came into her own. Hard worker. Very hard worker. So,
yeah.
Yes, we love
good
her.
luck to her in her future endeavors. And by the way, Peter, we're old white guys. We need not apply. So don't even think about it. Don't even think about it.
Take my beard. Right. Yeah.
When I stop doing it, I ain't doing it. I'll tell you my dream job. When I have to find real work, I want to be
ex-college coach.
I want to be the
fired college coach.
I want to be a starter out at Northdale or one of these places, and I want to go, what do we got?
The Dave Worth plan. The Dave Worth plan.
Peterson says you got 4. I only see 3. What's going on? What's going on here? That's what I want to do.
One of my drunk buddies is joining us on 2. So don't you worry.
I can't pick him up.
Don't you worry, Mr. Starter. And don't you worry about that outside food and beverage we brought in our carts. You just turn a blind eye to that, Mr. Man. Don't pay no attention to the cooler.
I just want to go out there and get through it, and then so every day about 4:00 they can go, Lucas, pick up the pens, and I go, you got it, boss. Absolutely. Let me load my clubs first. And I'll pick up the pens.
All right, Luke, great stuff, my man. We'll talk to you down the road. Appreciate it.
All right, boys, be good.
All right, good
Always
stuff.
fun catching up with Dano. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got no shot, bro. Don't even to throw your hat in the ring, though. You never know. You never know.
Again, it's either do sales during the day, which, by the way, I appreciate Policy Scout for bringing me back into the office, which has been a transition because now I'm making more money. Hopefully, they're out there watching right now. So I'll get on the phone here in about 35 minutes talking to Esther and Winifred. And
it's so much fun. Yes.
Love getting yelled at and doing delivery and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's the perfect job, right? I mean, you had one of the perfect jobs out there to cover sports for a living. I mean,
that was back in the day too, in the golden age of television too.
Oh yeah,
we had a 6-person full-time staff in sports, and we're doing hour-long network pregame shows for the Buccaneers every week and traveling with the team. And when these TV stations got huge audiences, it's just not that way anymore. It has nothing to do with the people over there. They're great people. It's just viewing habits have changed, and what we used to have an audience of 400,000 people at 11 o'clock on a Monday night, at News Channel 8 as the number 1 station. And now they'd be lucky to get 40,000. It's just the viewing habits have just changed, and local news is just not doesn't bring in the revenue it once did because viewership is so down. And it's and sports gets the rip. Unfortunately, they don't cover it like they used to. I look at the Times. The Times doesn't even send a reporter on the road with the Lightning anymore, and sometimes with the Rays. I mean, you want to talk about budget cuts?
Oh, yeah.
That's sad.
Stu Sternberg, uncomfortable budget cuts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It means to throw the Times another $10 million.
Right, exactly. So they can write another puff piece about how great of an owner he is, and the Rays deserve your fan support.
What does he order? What does he order at Steak and Shake? What is
right?
What's his favorite Springsteen album?
Right, because we care about that. We don't care how much.
Well, I just always think you save those pieces for a beloved owner, like
right?
Jeffrey Vinnick.
Even the Glazers. I mean,
maybe instead we do a piece on the lawsuit and what is alleged, or maybe we do a piece on some of the other improprieties that his accountants have done. And if we're going to let him say he's uncomfortable and consistently print that it's a small market and it's a revenue limited team, that we dig into those numbers a little bit more and see if that's actually true, because it's not.
You mean actually, do your job and reports on?
And I'm not disparaging anybody that works over there. That's not, Mark Topkin does a fantastic job.
Sure.
Rick Stroud, John Romano, they do a great job. I don't always agree with their reporting, and we can comment on things that they write and not agree with it. And I think that's fine. That's professional. They should understand that we have roles on sports radio and sports talk shows. They have roles to do. I think they're all fantastic reporters. They do a great job. Many of you who get mad at them when they do negative reporting, I support them because that's their job. But when they write things that we don't agree with, they're in the public forum. They should have very thick skin, and they're going to be criticized for some things. And doesn't mean we're right. Doesn't mean we're right all the time. This is our opinion, or what we see is the facts. And I certainly can bring numbers and lawsuit stuff to the table and show you differently that, if he's uncomfortable and claims he's going to have a loss, well, let's look into that.
Yeah.
Let's look into that. And I know there are no official books.
Yeah.
They don't release their books. But Forbes has numbers.
Okay.
We all can get numbers. We know what a lot of this revenue is. We can piece it all together and say, if your revenues are over 300 million and your payroll's at 90, to say that you're going to take a significant loss, maybe you don't have to show us the books, but maybe explain that a little bit, Coach. Mr. Stumper.
Yeah,
you want to throw that out there.
Right.
You want to throw that out there, Mr. Owner.
Yeah.
Maybe let's dig into it. Let's answer some questions about it. Okay, So anyway, let's take a break. We got to hit another break. We'll come back on the other side. Got some Valspar news yesterday, big press conference yesterday, and some big announcements of players coming. This is going to be one hell of a field at the Valspar. So we'll do that. And a couple other notes. The 12-team playoff has been approved by the NCAA. Some interesting things in there you need to know. And I'm told Florida State is already 13th in the AP poll and will remain there forever.
Wow. Oh.
Figure out the math. Back in 3.
For the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. We appreciate you guys jumping aboard. Don't forget to always like and subscribe on our Apple and Spotify podcast. If you miss anything or if you can't watch the show live, you can always check it out as a podcast or go back and watch it on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook. It's all there for you to digest. And we're also on 102.5 HD2. We're live on the radio each and every day now, so lock that in. Not only this live show, but coming up after us at noon to 1 is the great Greg Linnelli and Dave Mishkin, who will do Lightning Power Lunch from 12 to 1. That's live as well. So you get 3 hours of live sports coverage without the 8-minute commercial breaks, and people who have
that's good. That's
long experience in covering these teams and are not part of corporate media. So
and by the way, Instagram, we're going to get you on Instagram too. We figured out how to do that.
Oh, we do?
Yes. We're
okay,
going to
good.
get you on Instagram next week. So we'll get that taken care of. That's
the more the merrier. Let's do that. We got a lot of followers on Instagram.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So we need to take advantage.
3,000. I think we have 3,000 plus followers on Instagram on our two accounts. So there we go.
Yeah.
So Jim Sutton wanted to ask us, is FSU leaving the ACC? And the quick answer to that is yes. We found out on Friday that the ACC is going to, as predicted here by our house lawyer, Scott Jeeves of the Jeeves Law Group, when we talked about the lawsuit last week, he predicted that there will be a settlement, that the ACC and FSU will come to a settlement. And they announced on Friday that the ACC is going to negotiate with FSU a exit fee, estimated at about, and the reason is because these lawsuits, and this is how a lot of this works. These things rarely go to trial because nobody wants to be exposed to winning or losing a huge side. They want to know what their damages are going to be. And so they have filed the lawsuits, and if the lawsuits have merit, if there are, certain things in those lawsuits that say ESPN and the ACC don't want discovered, like contracts and show notes, which is what these lawsuits are asking to see, emails, you'd have to have your, a lot of these ESPN, ACC emails will become part of the public discussion. They want no part of that. And it's like Major League Baseball wants no part of Stu Sternberg going to trial with his partners, because then it all becomes public record. So this was a way to Florida State to get out without having to pay some onerous $472 million exit fee, which is, and clearly the ACC has made a lot of mistakes along the way, not the least of which was undervaluing their media rights by about 150%. Stupid. And that's why FSU is so pissed off. And that's why the other member schools are pissed too, but they don't want to be as public as FSU. They'll just let FSU do all the dirty work, and then Clemson and Miami and North Carolina will get on their coattails and haul ass out of the ACC. So this is, essentially what's going to happen, Jim. FSU is leaving the ACC. Some reports have them going to the SEC. My opinion is they'll end up in the Big Ten because I follow the money. FSU does not, FSU's media rights are worth estimated $100 million in terms of, eyeballs. That, like, if you were going to buy their TV rights on the open market, it's estimated to be worth about $100 million for their football and basketball games and all the ancillary stuff that comes with that. Like Wake Forest would be probably in the $20 million range, right? So does Fox want to buy those rights? They want those rights in, all that inventory that they can sell to advertisers on the open market. You're damn right they do. Mm-hmm. Does the SEC? Not really, because they already have many of the, the eyeballs in the state of Florida in terms of cable stations and subscriptions, and they've already got that covered. So the Big Ten does not. They want to have a Florida footprint. And if they could get FSU and Miami and Clemson and North Carolina, that would be a huge home run. Now, a lot of people push back and say, FSU is not an AAU institution in terms of academics, so the Big Ten wouldn't want them. A lot of people that I've read think that that's not as, first of all, that FSU will become accredited as an AAU university. They're very close to that. They're a very highly ranked academic university, a lot of different other metrics, especially in research, which is a big deal to the academics because that brings in money. So, yeah, FSU academically will fit in well with the Big Ten and some of these other institutions, eventually getting that accreditation. So to Fox and to the Big Ten, it's the media rights that are worth more money. That's what they're zeroed in on. And that's why I think FSU will eventually end up in the Big Ten. Could be 2025, but I think definitely by 2026.
And whenever that happens, you have to keep an eye locally here on USF, because you would think if the ACC loses Florida State, that USF right now becomes an attractive team for them to get.
Damn right.
You're still in that market, and that's exciting for Bulls fans. I get it. You lose FSU and possibly Clemson, but that's a major conference, which means you have an opportunity to have a major bowl, which, by the way, also means you have an opportunity to have more money put into that program, which helps out the NIL and everything else. So,
exactly.
I mean, that's what you got to watch.
It's a step up. It's a step up. Yeah. And I think eventually, but what's going to be left of the ACC, that remains to be seen. The ACC could very well go the way of the Pac-12. I could see the Big Ten coming in and nabbing those four schools, or, I could see Virginia being targeted by the Big Ten, NC State being targeted by the Big Ten, Boston College being targeted by the Big Ten, Pitt. These are all, institutions that I think would certainly fold right into the Big Ten or the SEC. So I think, in the end, this SEC Big Ten announcement last week that they're going to work together in an advisory way, that to me is the first step towards the P2. Mm-hmm. But at this point, it's not. And we just had the 12-team playoff format decided, which I was going to go over here a little bit. Let me get back to the 12-team playoff. So the 12-team playoff now is the highest ranked 5 conference teams. Mm-hmm. So and that means all conferences. So whoever the highest, this is kind of I have a problem with it because a lot of the same people are still in charge.
Of course. So
it's still this, there's still going to be a selection committee to decide what these other ranked teams are. So they say, I'm going to read this from the NCAA website. So the 12-team college football playoff will include the 5 highest ranked conference champions, which will receive automatic bids. And that means from the ACC, and I think that's the AAC as well. So if you win the AAC, say if USF wins the conference, championship, they're not going to get an automatic bid. They have to be the 5 highest ranked conference champions. So it's a pretty good chance that you'll get there, but it's not automatic. You still have to be, because they're going to be looking at all the different conferences, including the non-Power 5. So that's a little bit different. And then the 7 highest ranked teams remaining will round out the 12-team format, which again allows this committee that's going to be ranking the teams to screw FSU or screw whoever the hell they want to screw. So I'm still one of the things I would like to see out of this college football playoff, the selection committee needs to be detached from ESPN. Okay, it needs to be detached, and it needs to be I would rather see this made up of people that are not beholden to ESPN, number one, not controlled by ESPN. And I'd like to see this debated openly. Well, there's no reason for a closed door debate. There's no reason for secret voting. None of that is there's no reason for it. It's football. Televise the damn thing, And if people don't want to be part of the committee, I'm going to get death threats. Well, then don't be part of it. We'll find 10 to 12 brave people that'll do it. And if you're afraid of getting death threats, then because there's always going to be lunatics out there, stupid people that with 99.9% chance are not going to do it, right? But if you're too weak and you're too mentally weak to handle it, then don't do it. Simple as that. Nobody's putting a gun to your head. Get 12 people who want to do it, and hopefully 12 people who have been involved and are not these ridiculous political appointees that are on this committee that know nothing about college football. Can we be done with that?
Right.
And I don't I'm done with the administrators too, because most of these guys have just been, what do they know about the game of football? They're administrators. I don't want any athletic directors on this committee. None. Zero. None.
No.
Give me coaches, ex-coaches, media members, people like there's some media members, ex-media members or what have you, you give me the names, tell me who they are, and I'll say, okay, that sounds good. Ex-players that never became coaches. You want Peyton Manning part of the committee? I'm down with that.
Okay.
Nick Saban sounds good to me. Give me some people that have been in the competition. No more athletic directors on my committee. I don't need any more political people doing this stuff. They're too easily bought off and paid. So no, I'm good with that. So we get the higher seed. So as mentioned before, the 4 highest conference champions will receive the buys. Seeds number 1 through 4 receive first round buys. 5 through 12 will play each other in the first round. The higher seeded teams will play host in their first round games on campus. So 5 versus 12, 6 versus 11, 7 versus 10, 8 versus 9. Mm-hmm. The New Year's 6 bowl games will be introduced in the quarterfinal round. The semifinals will be played in bowls on a rotating basis, while the national championship host site is determined through bids by prospective host sites. So once again, the national championship could be played in Tampa. So we'll bid for it. And we did such a great job. I'm sure we'll get one. Now, and also I asked this of Jim McVeigh and some other people with the the ReliaQuest Bowl, since it is a New Year's Day Bowl, it's not a New Year's 6, but is there a chance for them to be involved in this? And I think it's open-ended at this point. So the New Year's 6 bowl games will be a quarterfinal. Semifinals will be played in bowls on a rotating basis. It'll probably be more of the cotton, rose, and sugar, etc. So we'll see. But still, it kind of leaves a lot of these other bowl games out in the cold. So.
And I think that's important to note, that you need to make some of these bowl games relevant again. And the way you do that is you make these neutral sites in these, qualifying games, in my opinion, because we talked about all last year. Nobody cared about those. I mean, I love the ReliaQuest Bowl, but how many players opted out? Didn't you want to see,
Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, Jaden Daniels. Well, if that game means something when it comes down to a first round, and maybe you can regionalize it like you do in college basketball, where, say, if USF is in that, or Florida State is in that, or Florida, I don't think Florida's going to be in that, but let's say they are, you put them down here, and that way you have the fan support, and then you can really take advantage of that, and the bowl game becomes relevant again, because once again, the problem was we have a lot of bowl games, they're exhibitions anyway, but
nobody cares.
Nobody cares. They weren't relevant, and ratings suffered.
All right. So if this was in place last year, it would have been in the on-site games 5 through 12 would have been Florida State versus Oklahoma in Tallahassee. That would have been nice.
Yep.
Would have been Georgia against Ole Miss, which would have been a rematch. I believe they played. Did they play in the regular season last year?
I don't know.
Maybe not. I think they didn't they? I forget. Anyway, so Georgia, Ole Miss, really great game, and that would have been in Athens. Ohio State versus Penn State, which would have been a rematch,
right?
And then and that would have been in the shoe, and then Oregon would have hosted Missouri.
Wow!
So sign me up.
That's good college football. I mean, that's what we want to talk about. We don't want to talk about
content. And then the winner of the FSU Oklahoma game, I don't know if they'd reseed, how that would work. So does it say here?
Let me guess. They play Michigan or Alabama. Who would they play?
I guess since they're their top, they would go against the winner of probably play Alabama. So Alabama was 4. So Florida State being the top seed, I guess, and maybe. Well, here it is. Let me see. So as stated in the official announcement by CFP, the first rounds would take place at either the home field of the higher seeded team or another site designated by the higher seeded program during the week of Saturday 21st. So I guess they could move the game if they wanted to a bigger stadium. Although specific game dates had not been announced, we can make predictions on how each matchup will appear. Keep in mind that number 12 seed will go to Liberty, as the Flames are the 6th highest rated conference championship team in the college football rankings, replacing Oklahoma. Okay, a team that finished 3rd in the Big Ten as the number 12 team. All right. So, okay. So then it would have been Liberty at Florida State, Ole Miss at Georgia, Penn State at Ohio State, and Missouri at Oregon.
All right.
So bowl games. 2024 quarterfinals will be Fiesta, Peach, Rose, and Sugar. Semifinals will be Cotton and Orange. 25 quarterfinals will be Cotton, Orange, Rose, and Sugar. Semifinals will be Fiesta and Peach. Boy, the Peach Bowl kind of edged out. I'm saying the Peach Bowl back in the day kind of edged out the Outback Bowl for New Year's 6.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that? It's because they have a dome.
Yep, that's it. Because
they have a dome. So that's about as much as, without going into even more of the weeds. I like it. I like the 12-team playoff. It's not perfect, but I think that to me, the biggest change that I want to see is who's on that committee. And let's get rid of the secrecy so to get it out into the open so we know what's going on. There's no reason it shouldn't be.
No more corruption.
All right, Peter, anything else on your mind you want to get out there?
No, not at all. We'll have the Sports Web tonight. Of course, tune in. We got to have you back on here, JP. And
sure, anytime.
Absolutely. We'll talk Bucks. Of course, that's on everybody's mind right now.
Yep.
What will the Bucks do in free agency as we're only a couple weeks away from the start of free agency? A lot of Bucks fans are going crazy right now. What are they going to do? Sky's falling. Relax. Sit back. The rumors are coming. Yeah, that's about it.
Yep.
No conversations here, my friend.
Great job, Peter. Appreciate you. Thank you all for watching and commenting. We appreciate you guys very much. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, each and every day, 10 to 12 live on 102.5 The Strike, FM HD2, and also on every other of those platforms, and soon to be on Instagram. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.